From pigs to pastry shops, here are the most surprising facts about famous wars you won't learn anywhere else. Part 3. The year is 1859, and tensions are high between the United States and Britain. The discovery of gold on the San Juan Islands has brought fortune seekers and settlers pouring into the region. But when an American farmer named Lyman Cutler found 3 of his pigs slaughtered and missing their hams, it kicked off a territorial pig war. He suspected his Canadian neighbor, American Gadsden Smith, whose family had also been receiving gifts of ham from mysterious sources. When Cutler confronted Smith, a fight broke out, and soon the entire island was armed to the teeth, with U.S. and British troops, occupying different parts of the island, facing each other across no man's land. Things came to a head on June 15th, when an American lieutenant fired warning shots into the air and accidentally killed a British soldier. Though both sides were ready to open fire, cooler heads prevailed, and after a tense negotiation, the dead soldier's body was allowed to be recovered, and the crisis was averted. In total, 14,000 troops were deployed over the course of the conflict, but surprisingly, only 1 person lost their life. The aforementioned pig. After 4 years of pig-related posturing, the conflict was settled, with the island being jointly occupied by the 2 countries, with no deaths on either side. For some reason, this conflict was called the Pig War. No, not the Not War War. In October 1914, as Britain prepared to enter World War I, a young boy named Sidney Lewis boarded a train with his mother and sister, leaving behind the small village of Dereham for the bustling metropolis of London. Why? To join the army. At just 12 years old, he'd lied about his age and enlisted as a private in the London Scottish, becoming the youngest British soldier in the war, and possibly ever. While fighting overseas, Private Lewis was involved in several notable battles, including the Battle of Loos and the Battle of the Somme, though his exact role in these conflicts is unknown, as he was underage and likely assigned menial tasks. Eventually, the reality of his situation caught up with him, and he was discovered to be a child soldier. Upon returning to Britain, Lewis was celebrated as a national hero and interviewed by journalists who dubbed him the Boy Soldier. Ultimately, his story led to new restrictions being placed on child enlistment in the military. Today, there is a plaque dedicated to him in Dereham, and the Imperial War Museum holds several of his personal belongings, including his gas mask. It's the late 1800s, and the United States is at war with itself. As federal troops occupied the South following the Confederacy's defeat, they needed a place to bury their fallen. And so on May 13th, 1864. General Scott, General Howe, General Manager, General Orders. General Order number 105. Yes, that's 5 generals in a row. Anyway, it ordered the seizure of Confederate General Robert E. Lee's Arlington estate. Following the war, the 11-acre property was turned into America's first national cemetery, forever changing its purpose from private estate to public burial ground. Since then, more than 400,000 fallen soldiers have been buried at Arlington, making it the largest American military cemetery in the world. The year is 1838, and trouble is brewing in Mexico. After decades of instability and internal conflict, the country was in turmoil. Seeking to distract its citizens from domestic issues, T.A. Goberman S.I. caught on a French pastry shop owner named Monsieur Remin, who had recently opened a bakery in Mexico City. The problem was, his oven was blocking the street and impeding traffic. The solution: seize the bakery and give the owner 600,000 pesos. Unfortunately, the Mexican government didn't have much cash on hand, so instead they sent him a bill. This wasn't well received, and when Ramon tried to protest the decision, he was arrested and thrown into jail. In response, France declared war on Mexico. What followed was a brutal 80-month conflict that saw heavy fighting across the capital, and even resulted in Mexican President Santa Anna losing part of his leg. Ultimately, the French were victorious, securing the compensation they sought and establishing a monarchy in Mexico until their own revolution forced them out in 1846. But hey, at least they got their pastry shop back. The year's 1415, and the English are preparing for battle. King Henry V had assembled his troops in the town of Agincourt to face the numerically superior French army. Before charging into the fray, the soldiers participated in a bizarre ritual. According to an account by John Harding, the chronicler of Henry V's army, the soldiers would kiss the ground, apparently in token of their loyalty to their king and country, and then eat some of the dirt. This curious custom had a much grimmer origin. By eating the soil, the soldiers combined the elements of communion with the preparation of burial, signifying that they were about to give their all in battle and that their bodies would be returned to the earth. They would even reportedly take handfuls of dirt with them into battle, scattering it over their enemies after slaying them. While accounts of this alleged battlefield practice exist, there's little evidence it continued past the reign of Henry V. Still, it makes for a pretty wild image. The year is 490 BC, and the Persians have just invaded Greece. Athenian general Miltiades led his elite force of hoplites to intercept the invaders at the Battle of Marathon. According to the historian Herodotus, a messenger ran 26 miles from Marathon to Athens to announce the victory and alert the city to lay down its arms. Upon hearing the news, the Athenians celebrated, believing themselves to be safe. However, later that night, the Persian fleet arrived in the port of just 4 miles from Athens and began sacking the city. Once again, a messenger was dispatched to warn the citizens, this time running the full 42 miles. While the Persians continued their rampage, the runner made it back to Athens in time to sound the alarm and rally the city's defenses. As a result, the Athenians were able to hold off the Persian attack. In honor of the heroic runner, the distance of his journey became a staple of athletics competitions in ancient Greece. And today, the famous 26.2 miles of the modern marathon is a testament to the bravery of a single soldier's run. The year is 1942, and Germany has just invaded the Soviet Union. As the German advance pushed deeper and deeper into Russia, the Soviets desperately tried to halt their progress. One of the longest and bloodiest battles during the war was fought in the city of Sv, which lasted from August 1942 to February 1943. What followed was some of the most brutal urban warfare in history, with both sides suffering massive casualties. In the end, the Germans were repelled and pushed back from the city, marking a turning point in the war. But at what cost? According to various estimates, over 2 million people lost their lives in the battle, making it the deadliest engagement in all of human history. If there was any doubt as to why this conflict is considered a defining moment of the war, consider that of those 2 million, around 1.4 million were civilians. Tragically, it was the winter weather that ultimately proved decisive, forcing the already battered German forces to retreat and giving the Soviets the upper hand. For more on the deadliest moments in history, check out Worst Days in History or watch this video instead.